Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. I'm Greg Christ, along with Frank Fear, your host for the show tonight. We've got a great show on tap. I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and that helps us a great deal whenever we try to keep doing this kind of stuff. We got a great guest tonight, Mountaineer All-American Brian Jozwiak. Played at, I think Frank said 82 to 85 at WVU, was eighth round pick or eighth pick in the first round in the NFL draft. Before we get to visiting with Brian, we're going to let you see a new intro that Joey's fixed up for us. So we'll switch to that, and then we'll be right back with Brian Jozwiak. Stay with us. Appreciate that, Joey. And Frank, I feel like I should have a martini and a cigar while I'm listening to
that. We're in New Orleans tonight. Yeah,
sounded good. Yeah, appreciate Joey putting that together for us. That's neat. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff, so I'm always amazed when I see stuff like that put together. So,
that's right.
Thanks to Joey for doing that. We also want to mention right up front, hello, Kelly. We want to mention, of course, Mike Dunlap and Mark Parsons. Two guys I know, Frank, you and I have talked numerous times about their contributions to the show and how much we appreciate those guys. They are fantastic, and they work tirelessly to keep coming up with good guests for us.
Yeah, they are just great people. As you mentioned last week, it was I met you through Mark, and we want to say a few words about Mickey Plumley.
Yep.
As we said last week, he's had, I think most people know, he's had some health issues, challenges, and we just can't wait to have Mickey back, and we're hoping to have him back by football season. And so he won't be with us for a while, but we're always thinking about you, Mick, if you're watching tonight, and we're sure you are. God bless you, buddy.
Yep, sure thing. And we think about Mickey and try to stay in touch with him regularly. And all we can do is hope for the best with him. He's had health issues, and he's getting those worked out now. So hopefully he'll be back with us by the time football season starts. And, Frank, before we bring our guests on, a lot of stuff really going on in Mountaineer football right now that a lot of people may not know about. But so far, Coach Brown is rolling it in the recruiting end of things. I heard last night that we had got a verbal commitment from the 20th commitment for next year's class. And he was a highly thought of athlete that they found him in camp, and he'd only had a few minor offers. I don't know if you call them minors or not Power 5 offers. They had offered him some. West Virginia's the first Power 5 to offer. They had him in camp and obviously saw something that they liked a whole lot, and they offered him, and he committed. And that was their 20th, and as of yesterday. So Neil Brown and the class has gone from like the 43rd. Yeah, I forgot you'd had had this graphic on here for us. The class had gone from like number 40th up to 47th up to like 20th, I think, so far, with some big signings.
Yeah, wow. I mean, you're right. You look at that chart, and Joe's may want to comment on this later, because we're going to talk with him about how he feels about what's happening on campus now. But that 19 ranking by rivals in the country puts WVU in the top 20. And if you look at the average, sort of the median ranking over 8 years by rivals has been 43. Now, Joe's knows, we all do, that recruiting classes don't play, players play. And if you look even at the not so highly ranked as a class, you got some great players who are great players.
Yeah, you see a lot of names on there that you remember very well. Who were great players, and even a few NFLers in there as well. So it's pretty exciting, I think, for Mountaineer fans, because we're not far from the season getting underway. Couple of months here, and
that's right.
I think the anticipation keeps building, just like we talked a couple of weeks ago about the season ticket sales. And as of 2 weeks ago, they had hit they were over 24,000, which was what they sold last year altogether. And they still had until the end of July. They said that they would be, or middle of July, that they would be selling those season tickets. So season ticket sales are through the roof as well. So I think a lot of excitement around about the upcoming season. And let's just hope we can hold up. Mountaineers hold up their end of the bargain. Everybody's excited for them, and I think ready to roll. And speaking of being excited, I know you're excited about this guest as well as I am. One of my all-time favorite people. You know, Frank, I've thought about doing this stuff for years. I've done, once I quit coaching, I started doing radio, and then moved into some TV stuff, and now doing this. And I've got to talk to and meet some really great people. And that's one of the fun things about this, getting to talk to really good people that you get to know. And this guy, he's been on my show before, and had a blast with him. I met him for the first time down at Tex Williams' event down in Charleston a couple years ago. So I went up and introduced myself. What a fantastic person. And this is the kind of stuff that makes this worthwhile. Fortunately, we don't have to buy our food based on what we make on doing this, but we get to meet some really great people and interview some fantastic folks. And he's one of mine for sure, all-time favorites. And I remember watching him play. Of course, we're talking about Mr. Brian Jozwiak, and there he is, magically has appeared. And Brian, we appreciate you so much. We know you're traveling, hard travel too, 11 hours, I think you said today. We appreciate you taking some time to talk with us just a little bit.
Are you kidding me? Talking Mountaineer football and all things about it. I'm happy as punch. I appreciate you guys having me. And yeah, I'm traveling. I'm actually in Princeton right now, finishing up my trip to Morgantown tomorrow. And we're getting set up for some fun stuff here coming up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, hey, I appreciate you guys having me, man.
Absolutely. Princeton, you're down in my part of the world. I'm a Southern West Virginia guy. I live in Oak Hill. You'll pass that on your way up here tomorrow. So I'll probably
yes,
pass
sir.
you on the road as we go by. So I
like it.
I'll wave at you. And we're going to talk a little bit about your purpose in Morgantown here in just a moment. We're going to talk about your the fundraising thing that you do, which is absolutely fantastic, off the charts, and just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. And it's a huge event now up in Morgantown. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. First, we want to talk about you. And, everybody, you ended up at WVU somehow. And being the type of player you were, as good as you were, as big as you were, I know people were trying to get you. How did you end up at WVU?
You sent me that list of questions the other day, and I was looking through, and of course, you get a chance to reflect on some interesting. There's moments in life that change your stars. Those times that come about that push you in certain directions. And I always wanted to play football. My football introduction, and I'm from Catonsville, which is just a suburb of Baltimore, Maryland. And, I grew up, my dad was a competitor. He taught us how to compete. And there was always a winner and always a loser, and losing sucks and winning's fun. and that's how I grew up. And of course, we played games outside all the time. We pick up football games, come home all bloodied up, and I was young and I wanted to play little league football. And of course, my mother's, I don't want you to get hurt and this and that. And so I turned to music. I started playing an instrument in 5th grade, saxophone. And actually by 9th grade was an all-state saxophone player. Never played organized football. And I was pretty good. And I actually had a tryout with the Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore, which is the music conservatory. And I missed the cut by like 2/100ths of a point, and didn't get accepted. And so that kind of changed my course a little bit. And of course, went into high school, and I'm in the gym, and I'm this big old kid running around the gym, and got noticed by the basketball coach. And, of course, he recruited me for basketball real quick. He's like, hey, big guy, dribble down there with this basketball. And I took 3 steps, it hit my foot, rolled across the gym. I had to go get it, finally made a layup, pitched it back to him. Coach Yanero says, hey, listen, son, I'm going to send you down to Art Reeves. He's the football coach. You need to go talk to the football coach. So I went down, honest to God, I went down and talked to Art Reeves. He goes, hey, big guy, you ever play football? I said, nah, just in the street. He goes, you should play for us. I said, well, let me go ask my mom. So I go home, I ask my folks, and they're like, hey, yeah, go ahead. Let's go. You're in 10th grade. It's time. So I started playing, and I loved it. And of course, it was conflicting now with the band schedule. And, usually, guys, you know how this works, man. Usually it's the football coach giving you the ultimatum. Hey, you're either in and you're giving it up and you're here all the time, or you're out. Well, this time it was the band director talking to me going, hey, this football thing's really messing with your band. So either you're in or you're out. And I said, yeah, I'm out. Here, I like hitting people better than I like blowing on this mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? So I started playing football. And like I said, I started playing in 10th grade. So I was as raw as it could be. And in a couple of years' time, developed into a pretty decent football player, and started getting noticed. Well, I mean, I'm 6'5.5" out there, 275 pounds and running around pretty good. And honestly, I was blessed because there was a Mount St. Joe, which was a private school locally, always got recruited hard. And of course, back then, you didn't have the technology. So the recruiting was done, physical presence. They showed up, and them guys would go to that school to recruit his players. And he'd always say, hey, you got to go look at this big kid at Catonsville High School. He's a raw, talented kid, got a lot of work to do. He's, not real strong. But you know what? He could be a diamond in the rough. And he started steering guys, and he steered Bob Simmons. Remember Bob Simmons? Oh, yeah. Bobby Simmons was the guy that recruited me. And among many, I mean, I took my official visits, fellas, to Wake Forest, North Carolina, Nebraska, Maryland, West Virginia. And Bob Simmons was recruiting me, and I went out for my visit, which I think West Virginia was my 4th visit. And I went out for my visit and absolutely fell in love with everything about West Virginia, from the topography to the people that I got to interact with, to a brand new facility. And most importantly was the sit down that my folks and I had with Coach Nealon in his office, and got the layout of the landscape that he was about to lay in place. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I signed, while I was there, back then you could sign a letter of intent, and then there was a national signing day where you would sign your national letter of intent. Well, I signed a letter of intent to go to WVU, and went home and was invited to take a trip out to Nebraska. And at the time, that was Tom Osborne's program. They had one of the best strength coaches in America in Boyd Epley. And I went out there and saw that, and came back, and man, I was psyched. I was like, man, Nebraska. I mean, they just came off a national championship, and but there was this calling inside of me. WVU was just there, and I came back, and my dad was driving me back from the airport, and I said, Dad, I said, can you take me back to WVU? This was Sunday. He goes, man, I got to take off. I said, please take off, take me back. I got to go back. So he took off work. We drove out to West Virginia and looked around again. My gut was just right there. Went home. We had a great conversation. I wanted my parents to be able to see me play. It was close enough that we could do that. And later that week, there's a knock at my door, and it was Coach Nealon, Bob Simmons and Donnie Young. And they stepped in the door and they had 2 big paper bags full of fresh Polish kielbasa. And the smell of kielbasa filled my living room. And my old man said, "You're going to WVU, kid." And of course, I mean, I was almost at West Point. I had all my stuff there, had my appointments, and I was going through the final physical. And the major told me I had to get to 256. And at the time I was like 300 pounds. Wow. And I said, "Nah, I can't do that. I'm going to play college football." So there was you know how, I mean, those moments, man, those moments that turn and change your path. And, you know, that's how I ended up at West Virginia. And
wow.
You know, I just a beautiful thing. I wouldn't have traded that decision for anything.
Coach Nealon, obviously they had the right recruiting strategy with the kielbasa, that's for sure. I got to ask you this. This wasn't on the list, I don't think, but I didn't know you played a soccer.
I remember the fingerings and all that, but it would take me a little time to reinvent the embouchure in my mouth to be able to, you know, blow that reed like that. So, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll listen to it.
I was hoping so much you did. And you had one with you. We were going to have something special tonight. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Well, maybe we can get you to sing here in a little bit. We'll try that. You know, on my show, when you're going to get put on the spot with something, either some kind of crazy question or something. So you better not let me see a saxophone laying behind you anywhere. So,
you know, Joe's, we both know Jeff Moores, the very talented graphic artist. And I just love this print. I love this print. It's still available. In fact, promoting this show, we promoted it. You can buy it. And I love it because he came up with this idea. You got a goalpost with players in one hand and you got players in the other hand. And it's just a beautiful print. And we encourage you the website is Find Harry. And if you go on Facebook, you'll see the QR code. You can go right to it and buy it. And you can have that print yourself. It fits. Yeah. It just fits you perfectly. I tell you, it's beautiful.
Yeah. When Jeff called and asked if he could do that, man, I was just humbled. Obviously, I mean, I got Christmas ornaments one year and gave them out to people. Man, I mean, that's just so cool. Hey, you know, it's like imitations. You know, when somebody does an imitation, I think that's one of the highest regards of respect. You know, and you know, to get a caricature done like that, I mean, you know, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I said yes, and I love it.
Can't wait to get on there and get mine, and we'll get Joe's. We'll get you to autograph it for me. How about that?
Absolutely.
Always angling for something here. You were part of Coach Nealon's early recruiting and establishing the program and that sort of thing. And Frank and I and other folks on the program, we've talked a lot about. You know, Nealon laying the foundation and, you know, for great things to come. And you were a part of that early recruiting. And, you know, when you came into the program, you know, what was it like to, you know, to be coming into this program and knowing, you know, you're going to play, obviously. And you had got to see the program and you met Coach Nealon. But what was it like when you came into the program and some of your more memorable experiences early on with Coach Nealon?
Man, how much time we got? No, hey, seriously, I remember so vividly arriving at Towers as a freshman, getting dropped off for camp. And it's just the freshmen. And we're going to go 3 days of just the freshmen. And of course, the coaches, everybody's, you know, they were putting their arms around you and loving you and hugging you, and everybody's this and that, and of course, well, everybody but my coach. I was a defensive lineman that year. They signed 2 defensive linemen, so for the first 3 days, it was me and Ernie Anderson getting yelled at by Bill Kurlavich. And of course, we know Bill's got a vocabulary that consists of about 4 words. Okay. And one of them he could use as an expletive, an adjective, an adverb, an adverbs. Guy's unbelievable. and of course we beat the hell out of each other for 3 days, and then the upperclassmen showed up. Now, of course, this was Coach Nealon's. Technically, it would have been the second year. 80 was the first year. 81 was the second year. I got there in 81. So these guys had already been through a year with Coach Nealon, and they were all bought in. So the Oliver Lucks, the Darryl Tallies, the Jeff Seals, the Dennis Folks, the Todd Campbells, the Keith Joneses, the Curlin Becks, those guys showed up 3 days later. And of course, they forgot about us. We were just meat. Okay. In the first few days, I wanted to quit so bad I couldn't even see straight. My body hurt, my brain hurt, everything hurt. I was miserable. I was tired. I hadn't had it. I mean, it was just, I wanted to quit so bad because they were pushing us to a physical, mental, I mean, on the verge of breakdown, but that's how you build. You got to break down before you build. Okay. And that's what they were doing. They were building. So, it's the end of practice, second two-a-day. We're down on the turf because we didn't have a grass facility. All we had was that daggone field, Mountaineer field. And we practiced everything out there on that crap, that parking lot. It was a parking lot with carpet. All right. Parking lot with carpet. So we practiced everything. And it was after the second practice. This is probably maybe day 5 or 6. And my body, I was ready to shut down. And Coach Nealon would get out in front of the team at the end of practice, and he'd do his talk. And then one of them little equipment manager guys would run up and hand him an index card. And on that index card were violations. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You missed that. You didn't weigh in. And anybody that had a violation had to run extra. Well, this fat kid from Catonsville didn't want to run extra ever. Okay, ever. I hated running more than anybody. And I made sure everything was right. Well, he called my name out saying I left my chair out of my locker. Now, I looked at that chair 20 times. I later found out it was Darryl Talley that pulled it out. They were checking me. They wanted to see what I was made of, I'm sure. Well, I got my name called, and I got to do a 100-yard bear crawl and then barrel roll back. With Bill Kurlavich yelling at me. I did it. Now, as I'm rolling, puke's flying out of my face mask. The carpet's got to be 140 degrees. And the only thing that saved me is I could hear teammates yelling, "Let's go, big man. Come on, 77. Let's go, big man." And I made it across, and they all scooped me up, and then we broke down and ran into the locker room, and I got puke hanging off my face mask. And I get into the locker, and I'm sitting there going, I'm out of here, man. Screw this. This is too hard. I can't do this, man. And I got my head down like this, and I'm about crying. No kidding. And all of a sudden, I get this big paw grab me on the shoulder, and Kurlavich's his mouth gets right next to my ear, and he says, "Hey, big man," he goes, "you're going to be special." He goes, "You just hang in there. You're going to be special." And he walked away, and I was like, damn. That was, but screw that. I'm still going to quit. So I went back to my dorm. I didn't even go to dinner. I went back to the dorm. I called my house. Dad, man, hey, I need you to come get me. He's like, what? I'm going to quit. You ain't going to quit. You can't come back here. I've already turned your room into an office. There's no room for you. So if you quit, you're either going to go get a job or go join the military. You're not coming here. Let me talk to Mom. I could hear my mother in the background. Who is that, Gail? Who is that? Be quiet. I got it. No, let me talk to him. No. He said, "Figure it out, son." Click. And I went, son of a gun, man. I guess he means it. And I stuck it out. And you know what? Going into the opener that year, I was the starting middle guard. I earned a starting position my freshman year, true freshman. And on a Thursday, we were doing a goal line. We did 10 scripted plays on the goal line. And I got under and overed and blew out my left knee and had to have surgery.
Oh,
I had arthroscopic surgery that Monday. And about 4 weeks later, I started jogging. 5 weeks later, I was back in it, and I was back into the rotation. Dave Oldblack was the number one guard, and I was the backup then at that time. And damn if I didn't do the other knee. So I'm laying in the bed. Doug Bowers scoped me up. I'm laying in the bed in the hospital. My mom and dad are in there. Coach Nealon showed up, and he's got Kurlavich on one side of him and Carl Battershell on the other side. Carl Battershell's the O-line coach. And they informed me while I was laying in the bed recovering from surgery, you're moving to offense. Because remember, there were no knee braces, mandatory knee braces, and they thought that I was going to have a lot of trouble because I was 6'6", and I was going to have issues getting my knees banged up, so they moved me to offense. Thank you, Coach Nealon. Best move I ever made, because, the rest is history. I ended up walking out of there as a consensus All-American, and, I wouldn't have traded it because I got to take that defensive disposition into the offensive play. And when you have a snap count, that means I'm hitting you first.
Yeah. Oh man,
Right?
Story.
Oh man, no, it was then the highlights. There are so many. Oh my God, the best part was after a game, win or lose, singing our fight song in the locker room with my Warrior brothers. The time spent in the locker room, the time spent in the huddle. And when it equates to big wins, which, let's talk real quick, 1984, 40 years later, first time we beat Penn State that year. And we had just come off a victory over Doug Flutie, who never beat Mountaineer football in his career.
That's
and
right.
We sent him home, coming back from a deficit. And we had our goalpost torn to the ground 2 weeks in a row. I mean, come on now. That's pretty special stuff.
Yeah,
and when Joe Paterno comes out waving the white flag with 38 seconds left, run back to the locker room so we don't get hurt. Oh, yeah. Get off our field, man. Oh, yeah. That was, all that stuff, all those guys, those times, going and watching a movie together Friday night before a football game out there at Lakeview with our pillows and watching a movie and just the camaraderie, the tightness of it. It was just a special time to be part of Mountaineer football. And we won a lot of games and got to go to bowl games and the coaches that he had with him and his unwavering mission. He came to work every day and he preached to us and we believed in everything that it was about. And at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses, and winning's fun, losing sucks. And we got to win a lot of ball games under that window of time. And I was very blessed. And, of course, for me, as a consensus All-American, man, I was in Playboy magazine. I got to be on the Bob Hope show. I was at the Walter Camp. I got to play in the Hula Bowl in Hawaii. I mean, are you kidding me? What a tremendous run that was. And my experiences at West Virginia, all of them.
All of them good.
All of them. I mean, I got to experience Sunnyside when Sunnyside was still Sunnyside.
When it was real, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Frank, I
Good
told
stuff.
the story. My highlight of that time period was I was down on the field after a game and turned around and run right into Brian.
Yeah.
And I come up to about his belly button. I was like, "Holy smokes, there's a big guy!" And I said, "Excuse me, sir." Just kept on going.
Yeah.
Never forget that. But yeah, it was a special time, and I'll tell you what, so much fun to watch, and to watch people like him play was just amazing, and they're so good, and a lot of good football during that time period for sure. And the games he talked about, I saw most of them, and man, what exciting times it was.
The atmosphere.
Oh gosh.
The atmosphere, Greg. The atmosphere in
Yep.
that stadium. You know, it was like being a rock star, man. And the support and the sound. You know, you'd be out there on that field, there'd be 65,000 people in the stadium, and your body would rumble from the noise, man. Come on. That's special.
Yeah.
Special.
And you know, you talk about that atmosphere. In all honesty, I look back at, you know, I used to go get season tickets, went all the time. The atmosphere then and the next 8-10 years was so awesome. And I think, in all honesty, it was better than what it is now, because I mean, there's more seating now, but the atmosphere was just different back then. It was exciting. Frank's put up a little graphic here. And Frank, if you want to kind of go through that graphic just a little bit and highlight some of it.
Well, you know, as you're talking, Joe's, it reminds me of I spent my career after graduating from West Virginia in higher education, and one of the things that's in the literature is that everybody talks about what are you going to major in, what are you going to major. But what graduates say years later when they're asked, what was college about? It's those experiences you talked about, the out of class, the in your case, the off the field, the camaraderie, what you learned. And, you know, the thing that struck me about your teams, and we had Steve Newberry on last week, and your years overlapped a bit, was not only were you guys blue collar, everything that we hope for with the term West Virginia Mountaineer. But if you look in that upper left-hand corner, you guys won 9-3, 9-3, 8-4, 7-3-1 with huge wins. That Oklahoma win in '82 that no one thought. And you're absolutely, you know, you're right. You were there. You know, everybody talks about that big win over Penn State for good reason, but that win over Boston College, what a win that was. It's just, you know, this is, you look at this chart, it's just phenomenal. And then being picked in first round, you know, after you graduated, being inducted in the Sports Hall of Fame, the Legend Society, all the things that you've accomplished. And I know you've said this before, and I think it's a real testimony to you, is that even after all these years, people still stop you. They remember. We certainly remember just a tremendous legacy. And I don't think it's hyperbolic, Greg, to say that to this day, this guy right here, Brian Jozwiak, is one of the most popular Mountaineers ever.
Yeah, no question about that. And I'll tell you what, and you can see why. I mean, you sit and talk to him like on a stage like this, and getting to meet him in person down in Charleston at Tex Williams' event. He treated me like he'd known me forever. And, you know, you almost feel like you're good friends, even though you communicate through the phone and like this, you still feel like you're close friends, you know. And absolutely. Right. Yeah. And
we're Mountaineers.
Yep. Got a funny story too about the Boston College win, the last one. I wasn't there. I was actually coaching high school football at the time as an assistant coach. We were playing down in Montgomery at West Virginia Tech Field. The other assistant coach and I were the ones that had the season tickets and went to every game. Well, they moved our game for some reason that year to a Saturday. So we had to play up on West Virginia Tech's field on Saturday. So I'm on the headsets. My other assistant's up in the booth. He's giving me play-by-play breakdowns of the Mountaineer games while our game's going on. And I'm over here like, yeah. Head coach like, what are you all doing? He said, you're all listening to that damn game, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, afraid so.
You know, honestly though, Greg, that was one of the things that Coach Nealon used to talk to us about all the time. There's people all over this state, all over this country, overseas, and serving in the military, and they're listening to you on the radio right now, man. Yep. This is for them.
That's right. Yeah,
and that's and you know, that's right. That's something that he was adamant about, grassroots in this state. You know, I can remember getting in a little bus and going all over the place and meeting people and you know, talking Mountaineer football and getting people excited about what we're going to do and what we've done. And you look at Mountaineer football. I mean, we're one of the most winningest programs in the country, man. This is real stuff.
Yep.
And we get overlooked and we get, nudged to the side. And we don't get the respect sometimes that we deserve. But you know what? We go out and we earn our respect where it's earned on the field.
Yeah.
All right. That's where we earn it.
Yeah. He mentioned back to that same story, the people listening down there that day, whenever something, when somebody would sack Flutie or we started making our comeback, people in the stands were cheering as the game was being played out on the radio.
Isn't that something?
Everybody was listening. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, you two guys, I have no idea why Joey Foster, who's the executive producer of our network, and of course, you know him very well, Brian, but he says, who was the 20th president of WVU? He says, I bet you Brian knows.
Who? What?
The 20th president of WVU.
The 20th president?
I'll say.
Here's the answer. Neil
Gotta
Bucklew.
be Gee. Bucklew.
No.
Oh, Neil Bucklew?
Bucklew.
Yeah. What?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a connection there between you and Bucklew? I don't understand why Joey's asking.
I don't know, man.
Maybe.
I know is this. You got to remember something, man. All right, you talked about the experiences, college and what I mean. My major was like eligibility. You know what I mean? I changed majors like the wind. Okay, so most of them people in the academia probably don't really like me a whole lot. Until I came back. When I got released in Kansas City after 3 seasons and my football career was over, I had to go back to school. And the first guy I called when I got cut was Coach Nealon. Before I called my wife, before I called my parents, I called Coach Nealon and said, hey, man, I got released. What do I do? And he goes, get your ass back here to Morgantown, finish your degree. And of course, I came back with a much different attitude, took 41 hours in 2 semesters, made the dean's list and walked out with my degree. And you know what? All that playing career and all that stuff that happened 40 years ago is all wonderful. And I appreciate people remembering, what that was all about. But, I just retired from a 32-year teaching and coaching career. And that right there is for me what it's all about, is taking it, because football is going to be over for us at some point. And if we're not ready to take a step into a good direction career-wise, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? I'm sitting there at 27 years old going, now what? So the reality of it is E. Gordon Gee, Dr. Bucklew, they kind of cringe when they see me a little bit.
I love that.
But it's okay because I love them both.
Come
on now. Hey, they didn't throw me out. They kept me around, so I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and hats off to you too for the teaching. I retired after 32 years of teaching and coaching, so I know what it was like for you. Yeah,
what a great ride.
Yeah. Oh. So for all the accolades you get, to me, that's right up there at the top for sure.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm looking at the clock here. We've got a friend of yours and a friend of ours who's been waiting very patiently. And let's talk about the Mountaineers, current Mountaineers, and then talk about your big weekend coming up. And let's bring in a guy named Hawkeye. There's Keith Hawkeye Hawkins.
Hey, Keith.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Doing good. I think Joey Foster might have been in the Coors. I say at Coors shirt there. I'm thinking Joey might be hitting the Coors tonight. Come up with that question. He came up with
I think
work shirt today.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, you guys talk about what you're seeing. And Keith and I and Greg have talked about this. What a difference a year makes. We've said that before. Last year we weren't talking. We were just keeping our fingers crossed. As we went into the season, it's a whole different vibe. What do you guys think about the upcoming season and the job that Coach Brown is doing and the guys? Take it away, both of you.
At the same time, or you want one to go first?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Brad.
First of all, Coach Brown, it's taken him a little bit of time to really learn how to coach the Power 5 football in the Big 12.
Yep.
Okay. Last year was a testament to the players and the coaches being picked last in the Big 12 and to come out swinging. I credit the locker room. Those guys got backed into a corner and they said, you know what, this we're not going to, no, because proof is in performance, not in prediction. We can predict all we want, but until we go out there and play the game, that's why we play the game, and that's why there's a clock, and that's why there's a winner and a loser. And you control what happens in that period of time now, and in the recruiting, and in the workouts in the off season, and during summer and workouts and getting ready to go. And he's got a great class coming in. And guess what? I think we're finally getting a little bit of respect. I think we're picked like middle of the road somewhere in the Big 12. But, you know, I mean, we got a heck of an offensive line coming back. We got a great dual threat quarterback with a couple of pretty solid backups. I think defensively, you know, we're going to build on what we did last year. I'm excited. And I think everybody's, you guys were talking about season ticket sales. I think the buzz is there, you know, but now it's a different animal. You know, last year it was a cornered animal in the corner, and now you got to fight your way out. Now you kind of out there in the middle now. You know, where do you go? It's an easy slide back. Okay, so I think we're going to sting. I think we're going to sting Penn State. I hate to say this out loud because I know Penn State's loaded, but we got them at home. 40-year anniversary. These guys in that locker room. I got, look at me, man. I got goosebumps. Look at them. Can you see them goosebumps? Look at them. Look at them.
We see
I'm
them.
telling you. So I just and if we can get that one, or at very least on this national stage, come out swinging and put on a heck of a show and then pulverize the second team and then go up to Pitt and hand Pitt a loss. Man, this thing could be pretty wild. It really could. I'm excited. You could tell. So
Absolutely. Keith, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Brian. I think it's taken Brown some time, but I think we've finally seen that culture shift too from the Dana era where guys just kind of Dana just really didn't have he just wasn't a Mountaineer guy. That's just me. And we've seen that culture change now. Something we used to talk about, Frank, you know, that lunch bucket mentality, that blue collar football player. And Neil's bringing in guys that fit his system. They want to, and they want to play that blue collar football. And I'm with Brian. I think we pull the upset on Penn State. Now, do we shoot her a wad that day and we're done for the rest of the year? I don't know. Sometimes, you know, you get really high, you achieve it, and then you take that nosedive. But we've got some respect, and now we got to keep it.
yeah,
We got to go out and play. We got to finish games. Hopefully, Neil will start playing to win and not to lose a little more often. Not be so conservative. You've got one of the best running backs in the country coming back, and he was a freshman last year. Garrett, I mean, he's a dual threat. I think we've got some good receivers. Defensively, we tighten that secondary up. I think we've got an exciting season ahead of us, guys.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, and Frank and I have talked about this a few times, that, you know, when you look at the portal, for example, and the people that have left and the people we've brought in, you know, the key elements of the team are still here. None of them left, and I would venture to guess that most people would have a hard time naming too many of the players that did leave. And you know, no knock on them, but it's not players that, you know, we thought of highly. Maybe one, and I think that's part of the culture. And I think these guys that they're staying here because they want to be here. And you know, I think as this NIL thing gets ironed out and all this money situation gets ironed out, and they get it on a level playing field. I think his ability to bring in the type of players we need is just going to get better and better and better. I think he's proven that this year. You know, he in the past, you know, some of the people you bring in, you're like, He's bringing in a lot of Bowling Green guys and those players on that lower level. But now you see him, we need some help at defensive back. Well, suddenly we signed 2 or 3 defensive backs from the Big Ten and some other schools. And I think he's got that portal figured out. And I think with this NIL thing, hopefully leveling out, I think things are trending in the right direction. I think we're going to beat Penn State too. I think if we don't, it's not the end of the world, and we've still got a lot to play for. Even if we don't beat them at the beginning, I think we are going to beat them myself. But if we don't, I think we still got a nice season in front of us.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned something about the recruiting and using the portal and bringing in players that we don't have time to develop.
Right.
We have to put somebody in there that can compete at that level very quickly if we're using the portal. All right. We recruit freshmen to build, but a portal's got to be used like you said. You got to at very least it's got to be a lateral transfer. Right. We can't bring some kid. Yeah, he was a great D2, 3, whatever player. But man, we're talking Power 5 football now.
Yep.
So we don't have time to do that. But that's the growth that we've seen in Neil Brown. I give him a lot of credit. He is a heck of a self-evaluator. He is constantly self-evaluating himself. And he brought in. I mean, we got now a general manager. We got people that understand excuse me for saying it, but the pro football model, which is what we're dealing with now. Okay.
Yep.
And you know what? Hey, thank Country Roads Trust too. The brainchild of those guys putting that thing together when they did, because that's a key element in the landscape of football today, is being able to retain the good players. Otherwise, West Virginia is like anybody else at the lower level, and we're feeding the SEC. We bring a kid in as a freshman, we develop him, and all of a sudden he jumps ship as a junior and goes somewhere else, because of talent and because of, the ability for them to throw a little bit of extra bone. Some of those guys that get in the portal, though, we got to understand, they don't tell us all of it. They probably walked up to that kid at some point and said, listen, you need to get in the portal.
Yep.
And we don't see that. We don't hear that, but it's a reality.
Yeah. And I think Frank and we talked about that on the show too. The fact that we hadn't lost anybody there for a while. And I said, I think after the spring game, we're going to see some exits, because they're going to get the message. Hey, you're not going to get a play here. You might want to try going somewhere else. A couple of things too. Brian talked about his recruiting. I listened to every day on my way home from Morgantown. I have an hour and a half, and it's usually around 6. So I listen to Tony and those guys talking. They always have these recruits that have verbally committed to WU for the 25 season and so forth. And everyone they've had on that I've listened to in the last 2 or 3 weeks have said the same thing that Brian said. They like the culture. The coaches are great. They were so sincere and honest and all that. And they just fell in love with Morgantown. And that's, these are some 3, 4, 5-star recruits that they've been signing or at least getting verbal commitments from. Mm-hmm. Also, the Country Roads Trust, I also talked about this with somebody the other day. If the Country Roads Trust would have been around in 1981, 82, and 83, and 84, when I was in college and just getting out, that they sell a beer. I forget what the beer is called. It's a Country Roads beer. Country Roads Trust beer. I said, man, we have so much money up there now from just me and my gang at coming to the games. If we'd have had that beer back then, we'd have been wallowing in money right now. I'll just say that.
Oh man!
Now I go out and have one for dinner, and that's about all I can handle. But back then, buddy, we could have loaded the coffers up here if we'd have had that.
That's funny.
Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that all the comments are really spot on. One of the points you made, Brian, at the beginning is really important, and I think it needs to be emphasized. We have this myth that these guys are going to come into these jobs fully formed. They know exactly how to run a ball club, even if they've been successful at a lower level. And there are not many people who can do that. I mean, one of the things about Nick Saban that I always tell people, if you look at his biography, he made about 10 stops before he took his first head coaching job. And he was learning from all the head coaches and associate head coaches and position coaches and coordinators before he took his first job. I had a chance to be at Michigan State when he was there, and I was a mentor on the football team. And you could see back then this guy was going to be great. Didn't know at that time, how great he would be. But, Neil Brown has learned his way into being a Power 5 coach, not an average Power 5 head coach, but a really good one. And we've talked about this, Greg. If you watch his press conferences, they're I think a workshop in leadership. This guy understands not just theoretically, but how to put together a staff. And look at the hall he's putting in right now. It's just amazing. I think kids want to be part of it, which I think is really great. Hey, I'm looking at the clock, and we definitely want to talk about this because it's so important, and it's one of the many reasons we invited Keith Hawkins to be with us tonight. Because, in fact, I want to start with Keith. Just talk a bit about Brian's commitment to kids and how kids all over the state have benefited from the fundraising he's done.
Well, Brian's commitment is right there in front of you. 34 years. He stood the test of time. There's a lot of people that have names, athletes. They get involved in the charities and the fundraising, and a lot of them don't stick with it. Brian has, he's rooted into West Virginia, and he's all about the kids. I post all the time things about Brian. It's all about the kids. He's committed. I know personally for my family, we see the end. I have personally seen the end results of what Brian does. The money that's raised. It helps the families. It provides things for the children when they have long stays. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's doing God's work here. What he's doing, it affects so many people, guys. You just don't realize how many people that what he does, how many people it affects every day. My family, we love him. The Z girl, she's crazy about him. She reads his stuff. She asks about him. He's a special guy, and he's genuine. I'm telling you, what you see right here, him talking when he's away from the mic or out of the spotlight, same guy. He's just a great guy. Love him to death.
Back at you, and thank you for saying that stuff. I appreciate it. Coach Nealon got us involved in Children's Hospital 40 years ago, putting our jersey on and going over and visiting the kids, which is still done today. I'm so happy that tradition has maintained, and that relationship with Children's Hospital is still as strong and as special with our athletes there at WVU going over and seeing those kids. It matters. It so much matters. And, when I got done playing, being involved like that, I wanted to maintain a tie to WVU and kids and that hospital. I got to be close friends with Dr. Bill Neal, who that was his vision, a hospital within a hospital. And then of course, Coach Nealon got involved with his missus, and they nurtured our relationship with those kids. And of course I fell in love with it. And then after playing, I was a on the air telethon host with that crew and we started this golf tournament, and 34 years later, here we are, bringing people to the table and raising money and awareness. And, it holds a very special place in my heart for all those reasons. But my son was born there, and we had some complications with him early on. He developed RSV, which is a respiratory virus. And now all of a sudden, we're parents of a child in Children's Hospital. So we now get to see it from behind the scenes, real life stuff, not just, slapping a smile on and going in there and doing your dog and pony show. It's you're in the mix, man. Your kid could die tomorrow, and it's in the hands of these people that are in there working, man. And those people that, and I'm talking the doctors, the nurses, the janitors, the people that, everybody that works inside that 10-story frame are there for them kids, man. And that is so special to have a place like that in Morgantown, West Virginia. And I can't tell you how humble and appreciative I am of my relationship with that place. And it will always be a very special place to me. And, I thank you. I thank you for the support. And we had a heck of a weekend. A lot of great guys come in for it. We get going on Thursday night at Tropics. We're going to honor Coach Nealon. He ain't getting any younger. And by God, he deserves as much pat on the back as we can give that man. And then we play golf on Saturday or on Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to do some bowling over there at Suburban Lanes, all again, raising money for the kids. And I can't thank enough everybody that's involved to make it happen. And, I'm just part of the team, and I love it. Love it.
Brian, if you will, if people want to get involved, if they want to, if they want to take part in some of the events, or they want to donate money, whatever it is they may want to do, how do they go about that?
I can tell you right now, as of today, our golf tournament is officially full. The golf.
Good.
Thursday night, we're selling tickets at the door. So if you want to come and be part of it and buy some tickets and come hang out with us, we're selling tickets at the door. I think they're $100 or 150, 100, something like that. And again, all the proceeds on Thursday goes directly to Jeff Hostetler's foundation, the Haas Foundation, right. Because Jeff obviously is on the board. He's the marquee guy. He's the guy that really, that 10th floor up in that building is a phenomenal space for those kids to get away from the grind of everyday hospital life, and they can go in there. And that was put up there, and Haas and the Haas Foundation is a special thing. So all the money we raise Thursday night goes right to his foundation, which goes right to the hospital. And then bowling, we got plenty of room to bowl. $50, 6-man team. We're going to be in the bowling lanes with a bunch of freaking old Mountaineer legends talking trash. Huh, man? Are you kidding me? That's the one to come to. You think that's being on a golf course is fun? That thing Saturday is going to be a trip. Awesome. And I'll tell you what, we got some special things that are going to happen there at that Saturday gig too. So that's going to be it's just going to be a fun weekend. And you know what? It's really beautiful. It's turned into a heck of a reunion of players that, I played with back in my day, like you guys. I see you, Frank, with hanging out with some of them guys that you played with back in the day, man. And that's just a special thing when you can get guys together and reminisce and have a good time. And that's what that's all about as well. Keeping those guys relevant and involved with WVU and WVU Medicine Children's, which is what it's all about. It's all about the kids, man.
Yep. And I think if folks haven't seen that place in a while, we drive by it pretty frequently up here. It's been renovated, beautiful, front's beautiful, and a fantastic place. And then you're talking about the tradition of going over in your uniforms. I think now the players take a moment to wave up at the kids before a game, and there's nothing better than seeing those little hands up there in the windows waving back. That's exciting for those kids. So what an awesome thing.
Hey guys, I got a real quick little story for you. So Brian, right. Last year, me and Zoller was there, and everything went great. Loved it. And I took her home that Saturday, and the following Sunday, I was rushing her back to WVU Children's. She had a shunt failure. Got her up there the following Sunday. Kid's tougher than woodpecker lips.
That's a fact.
We get her into the ER, and she's carrying on, throwing up, like you did the 100-yard barrel roll. If she'd had a helmet on, it would have been coming out the ears. can't keep nothing down. But all she's talking about the whole time these docs are poking and prodding and doing all this work on her was Brian Jozwiak, what a weekend she had, and how that money that you raised was going to come to that hospital for those kids.
Awesome.
God's honest truth, true story. The kid was going through hell and was
Make me cry.
Advocating.
Make me cry.
Man, for you.
You know what? Hey, well, that kid's special. I'm just that soul came right off the gold runway, man. That she's a phenomenal, and like you said, harder than woodpecker lips. That's a testament. It's true. I mean, Z girls, she's phenomenal, man. She's phenomenal. Awesome. I know we lost a real special one this year with the passing of Dale Wolfley. Wolfman was involved heavily with the golf tournament. He's going to be missed this year, and I know he was. Him and Z had a special bond, and I'm happy to pick up where he left off. That's a fact. So you give her a big squeeze from me, will you? All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate and that is what it's all about. I maintain a relationship with a family today that this gal I would go visit. She had leukemia, and they had given her months back then, and she's got kids and grandkids now and been in remission for many years. But she was my go-to when I needed my strength. You know, that was one of the things, and I need to say that's one of the reasons why Coach Nealon got us going and seeing them kids and being part of it. I can't tell you how many times out on a football field when you're out there running and sweating and feeling bad about it, he'd say, think about that kid that's up there going through what they're going through, and you're running a couple of 40s. You better suck it up, buttercup, because, again, that's what it's all about, man. Them kids are some of them are fighting for their life as we speak. And
sure.
Gotta have the facility for them. Gotta have the people that care enough to give them a fighting chance, and that's what we have there in Morgantown.
Yeah, and I think most folks, know someone or like Keith himself has been involved with having a child at that place, and we all know folks that have had their kids there, people that we're kin to, and that sort of thing. And
Right.
What a fantastic place! And hats off to you and everybody that does the job to keep it going and make it special, like it is, because it is a special place and much needed. And Brian, I know that has to make doing these things, even though it's fun, still it just has to keep you revived and energetic, just knowing what that money's going for and who it's going to help. That's got to be a great feeling.
Yep, absolutely. It's why we do it. It's why we do it. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
encourage folks to if you can't make it out to the event, get a hold of one of us, and we'll figure out a way for you to make your donation or whatever you want to do. But looking forward to a fantastic event. And the dates were on there. I think, Frank, you want to put that up one more time and
Sure.
so everybody can see it again, just to make sure everybody gets a look. And
Yep. There it is.
Okay, July 11th, 12th, and 13th. She got the roast of Coach Nealon, or the Legacy Experience, Don Nealon's roast on Thursday. Then the golf tournament coming up on Friday. Then they're going to go do some bowling on Saturday. Suburban Lanes.
It's a full weekend, man.
Great
I'm
weekend.
getting old. I'm gonna have to pace myself.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We're not going to watch and tell anybody though.
That's all right.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Brian, we can't tell you how much, again, we appreciate you coming on here and talking to us about this stuff. Just an awesome event. And like I said, it has grown and grown and grown. And you already mentioned the golf tournament was packed, and that's awesome right there in itself.
Amen.
Yeah. And again, when people know what these things are for, you get the support. That's for daggone sure. Keith, thank you for coming on and sharing your stories with us. Awesome to talk to you. We hear from you all the time. We don't get to see you very often.
Well, every time I make a commitment to you guys, they send me into God's country with no cell service. Or I get called out on something. what is it here? 8 o'clock, and I'm here in the office.
Yeah,
There
well,
you
I think
go.
we
Yeah, but I see that WV back here
That's
next
right.
to your hard hat.
There you go.
I see it.
Stuff everywhere in here, West Virginia stuff.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
And in here,
I
it's so
love it.
small. But this is my home. I spend more time here than anywhere.
There you go.
yeah, I think I've had him scheduled 2 or 3 times. Can't never get get hooked up. So I said, well, when it slows down, he can contact me. I'll do it that way.
That's right. I was going to say, Hawkeye, if you have a few minutes to say hello to our next guest, I think you'll enjoy. We got Prue in the back. Prue in the locker room is going to come out in a second.
Yep.
I'll tell you.
DP.
Yeah. In fact, I'll bring him in right now.
Yeah,
So
bring
you
him
can
on
say
in.
hello to everybody.
There he is.
There he is.
Hello, Big Joe's.
What up, D?
How
How you doing, man?
I'm
Hey,
doing
I
good.
heard you. Hey, did you get a job?
Yeah, I'm coaching in a high school down in this area in Waldorf, Maryland, called St. Charles. It's a public school.
Where's that
We're
at?
happy. We're happy, Darryl. We didn't know how long you could draw unemployment.
That was it's in Waldorf, Maryland, Big Joe's, out here outside of DC.
Outstanding. Mike Herzog country. There you go.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Good job. Hey, congratulations.
When is
Congratulations.
your event?
The 11th, 12th, and 13th of July coming up. Couple weeks. Can you get away?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get away. I'll get down there.
Hey, come on,
I will.
please. I think Flowers is going to be there,
Okay.
and a couple other guys. But yeah, hey, you always got a standing invite, brother.
I appreciate it, Joe's. I'll definitely be there.
Flowers
all
is
right.
Flowers is the man about town up here in Morgantown now. You see him all over the place out there.
Yeah,
So,
he's doing a
finance guy.
He's doing J.R. Toothman's basketball camp with me next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, sure
There
is.
you go.
Yeah.
Good.
We see him
Excellent.
a lot of events. I think he's in finances or something. I've talked to him a
Yeah,
couple
he's-
times, but
Yeah,
he's out and about.
Yeah, he's financing real estate. He got his hand
Yeah.
in a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
if you know somebody need help with their finances, call him.
Well, I could use some help. I want to feel loan me a couple $100,000.
Heck yeah.
I don't think I'm that good of friends
I was
with him
going to
yet.
say I need some finances.
Yeah,
Exactly,
I do too.
exactly.
Come on
Yeah, I
now.
need help.
Retired school teacher.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I
Shoot, I owe
retired, been
people
working
money.
harder ever since.
Oh.
I've worked like a dog since I quit teaching.
I'm telling you.
DP, let's hear about this job.
Well,
I applied for it about a month ago and I forgot about it. And because I've been applying to all different colleges. I tried to apply down here at WVU. They emailed me on a Tuesday, asked me could I interview on a Thursday morning. I said yes. The second interview was Friday afternoon at 1. They offered me a job at 3.
Awesome.
It was very quick.
Awesome.
It was very
Awesome.
quick.
That's a pretty renowned high school program, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been only in existence for 10 years, but they've been winning in the last 7.
Yeah.
So they lost in the state finals this past year. So now they've done a pretty good job. So now just got to maintain it. Getting a few calls up already about people wanting to transfer. So
Awesome.
we're gonna have our first workout tomorrow. We missed all the summer league. We missed all the live periods, but I'll catch them up later on. So we'll be fine.
Right. You do you take a teaching job with that as well, or I don't know how it works in Maryland, but
They wanted me to, but the way I get paid in DC, it was like a $20,000 gap, and I couldn't make that sacrifice right away.
I got you. There's a list of the returning players for 24-25, and you can look at the records there and see pretty impressive. They've got some pretty big shoes to fill.
Oh yeah. So it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be everybody's. It got a little buzz going. So we'll see how everything goes. See some of those names on there I'm familiar with. I met them last week at a meet and greet and their parents. So and it went pretty good.
Yeah, and those I know people here in West Virginia will look at that and they look at the classes. The classifications, even though they have the same letter beside them, are a little bit different in different states. I think that was 3A. Was that the classification?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one down from the 4A.
3A,
Yeah,
mhm.
3A. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is it relatively same size like West Virginia with Class 3A, or is it bigger?
It
Probably
might
more
be
like-
big. It might be bigger. It might be
probably
bigger.
more like a West Virginia 4A I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty exciting, man. We'll be watching. We was tickled to hear that you got the job, and I know you're looking forward to it. I know you're going to do great things, and it's just part of the ladder, man. Part of the ladder.
Yeah, I've been trying I've still been trying to get back on that staff, but it's unfortunately it's not working. And my big fella has blown up even more.
Mhm.
He is, he went down to the NBA top 100 camp, came out one of the top 10 players there, and now people calling me about him. So
Right.
former coaches that I coach with, the people that know me, Arizona, Kentucky just offered yesterday, so
Awesome.
it's and he'll be 18 on Sunday. That's the crazy part. He's a baby. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. So you'll still be doing the training, that sort of thing.
I'll do it for the rest of the summer, and then after the season I get them again. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking if it's the saying is Joe's knows kids, Prue knows big men. I mean, if you follow the big men he's mentored, these guys make headlines, and they're going to make headlines. And it's these are kids being followed by the biggest of the big.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you, Prue.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're tickled for you. We miss seeing you every week, and we know you're going to be busy and you got plenty on your plate now. But we'll definitely be watching for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back on. This next couple of weeks can be a little busy.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely want to come back on. I know
Absolutely.
football season might stick around, and I gotta just figure that part out. When they come back on and
Great
workouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't wait.
Yep, I'm sure you're looking forward to it. That'll be fun. And again, congratulations. We're tickled for you, and like I said, we'll be keeping a close eye on you and see how your team does.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say go ahead. And then I was going to say something about Hawkeye.
Yeah, I was going to try to bring them down. I brought my last team to Mullins for a Christmas tournament. Hopefully, I can get something with Morgantown High.
That'll be great.
In the next year or so. So hopefully we can get that going.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, Keith, this reminds me of the old days with Dale. In fact, right on my desk here, I keep, there's Dale's picture right here. I've got his, unfortunately, in memoriam card here. Not a day goes by that I don't think about Dale, and I'm sure you feel the same way too. And it's, but this is like a reunion with Prue, Hawkeye, and Frank again. Those Mondays were special, and he was special, and but life goes on, as they say, and we're trying our best to fill the gap as small as it may be, and working with Greg every Wednesday night is a way of keeping it going, I guess. Is another way of saying it.
Doing a great job, man. Doing a great job.
Yes,
appreciate it.
you are.
Well, we appreciate that, and Darryl's had a lot to do with that, and we're not. We always say we're not professionals. Thank God we don't have to feed our families off of what we earn here, but we do enjoy it, and like I said, it's. I've said this as the show started. One of the great things about doing stuff like this, it's obviously not money by any stretch of the imagination, but the people you get to meet and get to know and get to talk to, like Brian and like Darryl and Keith. I wouldn't consider someone a great friend, but I consider every one of you guys great friends, even though I only communicate through text messages and through the computer screen. I still feel close to you guys. And that's one of the fun things about all this, getting to know people and seeing what they're accomplishing and what they're doing. And Darryl, again, we can't wait. We're looking forward to that one. We've been pulling for you all along to land a job somewhere coaching again, because that's what you need to be doing. And, I did the coaching thing for 28 years. And I know from experience, we need good people in coaching, and you're one of those. So again, hats off to you. Congratulations. And we look forward to seeing you perform.
I appreciate it. If y'all in town, I'll be in town. I'll be up in Grafton on Monday. I'm gonna try to get Catelyn to come out. Also, the show one of those days. We be there from 9 to 11 and 12 to 2 up in Grafton at the little I forgot the name of the little YMCA. They had to name it somebody there, but we'll be there. You know, he does a great job for the kids. He has this guy named Warren. He went to Fairmont State. He was on my staff at TC Williams. I was coaching high school. And then, John Flowers coming through in the mornings.
That's right.
Right.
So if you're in town, Keith, where you at, Keith? I know, man, you say we've been going to hook up, but we can get a chance to.
I'm in Charleston. I can't get to Grafton, but I may come up to Brian's event. So
Okay.
I'll reach out to you.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that because I definitely want to go back to his. The first time I went to Joe's event was with Dale, actually. Dale had me give his short for that. So I had a great time.
We all got, well, I ended up with Dale the next day. I missed all you guys. And I said, make sure you put Uber in your phone before you leave. Yeah, I think I'm going to come. If I do, I'll holler at you, man. We'll hook up and hang out.
Yeah, that's great.
That'll work.
Absolutely. Well, we'll try to get down there too. When you in Grafton again?
I'm gonna come in late Sunday night, so I'll be in there the first, second, and the third.
Okay.
So I might stay around West Virginia another day. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Greg, that would be somebody you'd be interested in meeting is J.R. Toothman. Now, you want to talk about another big advocate for the hospital and WVU? J.R. is a phenomenal guy.
So what I do, Frank, when I get there, I put you on the phone with him, and I'll tell him what we're doing, and he
Great.
He does a lot of great things for the university. He does things for the hospitals. I think he would enjoy being on here and having a conversation too.
Excellent.
Even though he went to the University of Miami, he's a WVU.
Well, the emergency room for the Children's Hospital is the J.R. Toothman emergency room.
That's his father, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they raise a lot of money and donate a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys. We unfortunately we're out of time. We could do this all night, but we have run out of time. We want to thank our guests tonight, Brian Jozwiak, DARRYL PRUE, Keith Hawkins. Appreciate all you guys for joining us. It's been fantastic conversation. Great stories to listen to and inspiring stories to listen to, and we surely appreciate you. Frank, as always, great job putting all this together. You are the man when it comes to this. What's this thing called again? StreamYard.
StreamYard.
I don't even know the name of it. Yeah, you do a great job with it. So again, we appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. Joey, thank you for the graphics. We appreciate that. Everybody that watched and all the questions, we thank you for those as well. We look forward to another great show next week. We're kind of working through what we're going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks, but we will definitely be letting everybody know. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you next week on the Mountaineer Locker Room then and now. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See y'all later.